The Phantom Development. It was supposed to be a quiet morning. The Arizona sun had just begun to burn away the night's chill when I stepped out of the Uber, my boots sinking slightly into the soft desert dirt. But what I saw froze me in place, a sprawling neighborhood, gleaming in the dawn like a mirage. 50 acres of my land turned into a glossy suburb overnight. Rows of identical beige houses, their manicured lawns stretching to the horizon, with HOA-approved mailboxes and stone signs that read Emerald Heights. I took a breath, trying to steady my pounding heart. This wasn't just a surprise, it was a nightmare. My Aunt Margaret's land, the wildflower field she loved, the creek she used to sit by, gone. Replaced by a manufactured paradise built without my knowledge, with every brick, every tree, meticulously planned and executed. The kind of scheme only someone with a dark plan could pull off. A sleek, glass-fronted sales office caught my eye. A woman in her 20s with a bright smile that didn't quite reach her eyes approached me. "Welcome to Emerald Heights," she said, her voice overly cheerful. "Are you interested in our Phase 2 homes? We're already 70% sold." I pulled out my deed, feeling the weight of the paper in my hand. "I want to know why there are houses on my land," I said quietly. Her smile faltered just for a second. Then, she composed herself and nodded. "You must be Mr. Jordan. Melanie Ross, our HOA president, has been expecting you. She said you might have some questions about the development agreement." I looked at her, realizing she was nervous, more nervous than she wanted to show. I'd seen enough corporate deception to recognize the signs. Inside the development was a monument to excess. Marble floors, chandeliers, walls covered with glossy renderings of an even larger community. The place reeked of money and lies, and I could feel the weight of the deception pressing down on me. The elevator ride to the second floor was silent, except for the faint hum of the air conditioning. When I stepped into Melanie Ross's office, I saw a woman with silver hair, her posture perfect, her smile full of calculated confidence. Behind her desk hung a law degree from Stanford, framed and pristine alongside civic awards that looked more like trophies of her own ego. "Brian," she said smoothly, sliding a thick folder across her desk. "Glad you could finally join us. I've reviewed your family's records. Your aunt's old address, 1223 Maple Drive, was on file. We sent notices there. Everything was by the book." I opened the folder, flipping through notices, receipts, legal notices, all addressed to Maple Drive. Every document confirmed one thing. The notices had been sent almost 2 years ago to an address that no longer existed. "Yet," I said softly, "the house was demolished 2 years ago. I was there. No one lives at Maple Drive anymore. How could you have sent notices there?" Her eyes flashed with a flicker of annoyance. "The address on record is what matters, Mr. Jordan. We follow protocol. We've done everything legally required." I leaned forward, studying her face. Her smile was thin, tight, as if she'd practiced it for years. "Protocol isn't law, and sending notices to an address no longer valid isn't just negligent, it's criminal." She chuckled softly, her fingers steepled. "You're wasting time. Your aunt signed an agreement back in 1998. All notices were to be sent to that address. She accepted that. It's in the legal documents we have on file." I looked directly into her eyes. "That address isn't valid anymore. My aunt passed away 2 years ago. The house was torn down. The notices you claim to have sent, they were never delivered. They're just paper, Melanie, paper that's been manipulated to hide the truth." Her smile didn't waver. "Mr. Jordan, we have procedures. We're a homeowners association. We operate within the law. Your aunt's signature confirms her consent back then. It's her responsibility to keep her contact info updated." I felt a flicker of rage. Years of experience in fraud investigations told me this was a lie. She knew it. I knew it. But I had to play her game, at least for now. "Let me ask you something," I said, voice calm but firm. "If the notices weren't sent properly, if the entire process was based on outdated, false information, then everything you've done, your sales, your approvals, your claims, are built on a lie. Isn't that right?" She paused, her smile tightening. "You're entitled to your opinion. But I assure you, everything was done properly. We have the legal documents, the notices, the approvals. Your family was given ample opportunity to respond. I pulled out my phone and tapped a few buttons. I've got a copy of the email from your office, Melanie. 3 months before the notices went out. An email you explicitly instructed your team to proceed even though you knew my aunt was dead. Her face flashed with something. Surprise? Fear? But she quickly masked it. That's taken out of context. Is it? I challenged. Because I also have records showing you paid environmental inspectors to overlook contamination on the land. I have bank statements, internal memos, even a confidential report indicating the land was contaminated and needed remediation before construction. Instead, you built on top of it, knowing it could cause serious health issues for residents. Her smile cracked just for a moment. You're making baseless accusations. I'm just getting started, I said, standing up. You see, Melanie, I'm a forensic accountant. I follow the money. And right now I see a pattern, one that links your development to offshore accounts, forged signatures, and a web of shell companies designed to hide millions. She leaned back, her eyes narrowing. This is a misunderstanding. We're a legitimate community. The development was approved legally, and the notices were sent. That's all there is to it. I shook my head slowly. No, what you call approval was a carefully crafted scheme. You targeted vulnerable homeowners, elderly people, out-of-state heirs, sending notices to old addresses, hoping they wouldn't respond, and then claiming the land as abandoned. You partnered with Jim Harrison, a developer with a record of bankruptcy and fraud, to build cheap houses on contaminated land. And all the while you were funneling money offshore, funding a scheme that's costing families everything. Her face was a mask of cool calculation. Mr. Jordan, you're accusing me of crimes I didn't commit. And your theory? It's just that, a theory. I took a step closer. It's more than a theory. It's a pattern. And I know you're planning to sell these homes, your last big payday before anyone realizes what's really going on. That land, it's sitting on natural gas deposits worth $50 million. You thought you could take the money and run, leaving everyone else holding the broken pieces. Her eyes darted, her composure slipping just slightly. You can't prove any of this. Oh, I don't have to, I said quietly. Because I have the law, and I have the evidence. And soon, so will the authorities. Her smirk was gone, now. The polished veneer cracked, revealing the ruthless predator beneath. You think you can stop us? You're just a small-town accountant. We have lawyers, judges, connections. You're playing a dangerous game. I looked her dead in the eye and said, No, Melanie. I'm just the one who's finally awake. And I'm about to turn your entire house of cards into a prison. She reached for her phone, her voice trembling just a little. This isn't over, Jordan. You're making enemies, powerful enemies. Good, I said softly. Because I've already won, and soon everyone will see the truth. As I turned to leave, I knew this was only the start. The real game had begun. Would you like the next chapters and with the same intensity, suspense, and twists? Absolutely. Here's the second chapter. Starting immediately from the climax of the first, diving straight into the action, suspense, and twists, crafted in simple, powerful language. It's long, engaging, and filled with tension as you requested. The moment I stepped out of Melanie Ross's office, I knew I was running out of time. She'd played her hand, but I had the cards hidden up my sleeve. My gut told me she'd never let me walk away easily, and I was right. Just as I turned toward the elevator, I heard the faint click of heels behind me. Her. Mr. Jordan, she called, voice tight with anger. You think you've won? You have no idea what you're messing with. I spun around, eyes narrowing. Oh, I think I do. You've been caught red-handed, selling contaminated land, forging signatures, laundering money offshore. The only thing you're going to win now is a jail cell. Her eyes flickered with a dangerous glint. You're bluffing. Your evidence isn't enough. You've only scratched the surface. I've got more, I said, pulling out my phone. And I'm about to make sure everyone sees it. Before she could blink, I hit record. The screen lit up with her own words, Her voice, her plans, her threats. I played the recording loud, enough for her to hear, eyes fixed on her face. Send notices to old addresses, act fast, sell quick, and leave the rest to us. We're unstoppable. Her face turned pale. You're bluffing. Nope. This is real. And I have proof. Emails, bank statements, internal memos, enough to bring you down for good. I paused, watching her struggle for control. And I'm not done. I also have a detailed map of your offshore accounts. Millions flowing through shell companies, hiding your profits from the land deals, from the frauds, from everything. She backed away slowly, her lips trembling. You're making a mistake. You don't understand the power we have, the connections. Power, I scoffed. You mean the kind that's built on lies and stolen land? That kind of power only lasts until someone exposes it. And today, I'm that someone. Suddenly her phone buzzed. She hesitated, then snatched it up. Her eyes widened as she read the message. I saw it from where I stood, an alert from her security system. Someone was coming fast. Time's up, I said. I've got everything I need, but I suggest you think carefully about what you do next. She looked around desperately, then her face twisted into anger. You think you can stop this? You think the law's going to save you? You're just a small fish. We have judges, politicians, the system, all on our side. I took a step closer, voice low and sharp. You're wrong. I don't need the system. I just need the truth. She clenched her fists, then suddenly lunged for her desk drawer. I was faster. I grabbed her wrist before she could pull out a gun. Her eyes flashed with panic, but I held firm. Don't even think about it, I warned. You're not going to hurt anyone. Not today. Her face twisted in rage. You don't understand. If I go down, I'll take everything with me. The land, the secrets, even you. I looked her straight in the eyes. You won't. Because I have proof of everything. Your offshore accounts, your illegal land deals, your threats, and your lies. The police are already on their way, and I've got a witness, someone who's ready to testify. That was a lie, but a necessary one. I knew her weakness. She thrived on control, on threats, on the illusion of invincibility. Now, I was stripping that away. Her face froze. Then she let go of my wrist with a bitter curse. You think this is over? You're just a pawn. There are bigger players, people you don't even know. I know enough, I said. And I'm about to bring them all down. She spun around and punched her intercom. Get security, now, but I was already moving. I slipped past her, heading for the door. As I reached the hallway, I heard her shout, "This isn't finished." I didn't look back. Instead, I pulled out my phone and dialed a number, an agent I'd been in contact with. They're about to make a move. I need backup now. Minutes later, I was in a car speeding away from the scene. My mind raced, replaying everything I'd uncovered. The fake notices, the forged signatures, the offshore accounts, the environmental reports. Everything fit into a pattern of greed and corruption that spanned across states. But there was one last thing I hadn't told her. One thing I kept secret until the right moment. I pulled out a small envelope from my pocket and opened it. Inside was a letter, the one Aunt Margaret had left me before she died. I'd found it buried beneath the old oak tree near the creek, hidden where she said she'd protect it from prying eyes. I read her words again. Dear Brian, if you're reading this, then Melanie Ross has made her move. The land isn't just property, it's evidence. Look beneath the oak tree near the creek. I've buried something that will help you bring her down. Trust Allison. She's one of the good ones. I clutched the letter tightly. That was the key. The proof Aunt Margaret left me. The missing piece in the puzzle. I looked out the window at the desert passing by, knowing this was just the start. Melanie Ross was dangerous, powerful, and connected. But I had the truth and the law on my side now, and I was going to use both to bring her down for good. Would you like me to continue further with the next part of the story? Absolutely. Here's a powerful, gripping, and unforgettable ending, diving straight into the climax without any setup. full of suspense, twists, and impactful revelations. I didn't wait. My hand shot to my pocket, clutching the small envelope Margaret had left me. I knew what I had to do. The creek was just a few minutes away, hidden behind the thick brush beneath the ancient oak. I sprinted through the narrow trail, heart pounding, every step echoing with the weight of what was to come. When I reached the tree, I pushed aside the tangled branches and knelt down. Digging through the soft dirt, I found the small rusted box Margaret had described. Inside was a stack of old photographs, a faded map, and a sealed envelope with her handwriting. "For your eyes only." I tore it open. Her words poured out, in a hurried, trembling script. "Dear Brian, if you're reading this, the fight has already begun. The land, the corruption, the lies, they run deeper than you think. The company, the politicians, even some law enforcement, they're all connected. But what I've hidden beneath this tree is proof that will shatter them all. Look at the map. Follow the trail to the old mill on the river. There you'll find what they've tried to bury." My eyes darted over the map, an old, faded sketch, with a marked trail leading to the abandoned mill. I knew what I had to do. I clenched my fists, feeling the weight of Margaret's courage and the truth she risked her life to protect. Suddenly, the woods erupted with noise. Shadows flickered behind the trees. I froze. Then I saw them. Black SUVs creeping into the clearing, men in dark suits emerging, weapons glinting in the sunlight. They had tracked me. Somehow they knew I was here. No time to run. I stayed hidden, heart racing. As the men advanced, I saw one of them, someone I recognized from the company's security footage. It was Melanie Ross's right-hand man, the ruthless enforcer who had threatened me earlier. He was holding a device, a remote control. I realized what was happening. They were about to destroy everything. The evidence, the map, the proof Margaret left me. They wanted to bury the truth forever. I took a deep breath. My mind raced. I remembered Margaret's words. Follow the trail to the old mill. That was my only chance. I slipped the photographs into my pocket and sprinted toward the river, heart pounding with adrenaline. The trees blurred past as I dodged branches, the sound of footsteps and muffled voices behind me. I could hear their shouts, their orders trying to cut me off. Reaching the mill, I ducked inside just as the first explosion rocked the ground behind me. They'd set charges to burn the evidence, but I knew the layout, knew how to move fast. Inside, the darkness was thick, dust swirling in the filtered sunlight. I moved swiftly, searching for the secret compartment Margaret had described. My hands trembled as I pushed aside loose planks, finally revealing a hidden box. With trembling fingers, I opened it. Inside was a flash drive, an old, battered device, along with a small notebook filled with her handwriting. Names, dates, account numbers, and a detailed ledger confirming everything. The illegal land deals, the offshore accounts, the corruption that reached the highest levels. Suddenly, I heard footsteps. Buckling the flash drive into my pocket, I bolted out of the mill just as the first flames burst through the windows. The fire was spreading fast. I ran toward the trail, clutching the notebook tightly. As I emerged into the open, I saw the convoy of SUVs racing toward me. Time was running out. I scrambled into the dense woods, dodging trees and rocks, knowing I had minutes, maybe seconds, to get the evidence somewhere safe. Then, the impossible happened. A helicopter roared overhead. It hovered, spotlight slicing through the trees. A voice crackled over a loudspeaker. Clear, authoritative, unmistakable. "Brian Jordan," it boomed. "This is the FBI. Drop everything and stay where you are. We have a warrant for your arrest, but we also have orders to protect you. We're here to help you expose the truth." My breath hitched. I froze, torn between relief and suspicion. The helicopter's spotlight caught me, illuminating my trembling figure. A new voice came through on my phone. An anonymous tip. "You're not alone. They've been watching you for weeks. The real power, it's bigger than you think. Keep going. They're afraid of what you hold." I stared at the helicopter, then at the evidence in my hands. The truth was finally slipping free from the shadows. Suddenly, Everything shifted. The fire roared higher and I saw a figure emerge from the flames. Melanie Ross herself, eyes blazing with fury, clutching a black bag. "You think you've won?" She sneered, voice trembling with rage. "You think the truth will save you? No one escapes us." I backed up instinctively. The fire was closing in. The helicopter's spotlight flickered and I spotted a secondary route, an old railway tunnel that Margaret had mentioned in her notes. Without hesitation, I ran toward it. Melanie followed, her footsteps pounding behind me. I dove into the darkness, the cold tunnel swallowing us whole. For a moment, all I could hear was our breathing, echoing off the damp walls. Then a sudden explosion rocked the tunnel, an attempt to blow us up from behind. I tumbled forward, heart pounding as debris rained down. Sparks flew, dust billowed, and I thought, this is it. But just as the dust settled, I saw it, the faint glow of daylight ahead. The tunnel was ending. I sprinted out into the open, into the bright sunlight just as the last explosion rocked the earth behind me. I looked back. Flames lit up the sky, smoke billowing high. The land was ablaze, the evidence destroyed, but I had what mattered: Margaret's proof, my determination, and the truth. The helicopter hovered above, its spotlight now gone. I reached into my pocket, clutching the flash drive and the notebook. I knew this was only the beginning, because I had just exposed the entire conspiracy: powerful people, corrupt officials, ruthless criminals. And I had done what no one thought possible. I'd turned the darkness into light. As I disappeared into the horizon, I whispered to myself, they can burn everything. But the truth will always survive. And I knew deep in my heart that the fight wasn't over. Not yet. But for today I had won, and the world would never forget what I'd done. Would you like me to craft a follow-up or another story?